Okay, we are live, and we'll be talking about the ability to get things right, and particularly having that mentor list when you are in. I mean, when the part of the business is business, you need to have the right people on board, and particularly when we are talking about not Web 3.0, just the understanding of internet, the way it has to be understood. It's very, very important that we have the right people on board. And I'll wait for a couple of minutes before we start. So let's do this. Okay, so right folks on board. Okay, perfect. So the point of contention here is we are going to discuss around the aspect of understanding um, how and why things happen, and the reasons behind having the right people on board, particularly from the funding point of view. I'll take a couple of more minutes before we start. So in the meantime, just if anyone joins in, please put your questions in the comment box and somebody will just respond. I'll take a couple of minutes before we start. Hard. Okay, perfect. So the point of contention which we were discussing around was getting the right folks on board, and it's very, very important from the point of contention of understanding internet first. Um, the understanding of internet is way less. I mean, it is negligible to the people who are the stakeholders who are making the policies, and particularly the reason is when you are creating a data set, the first data set, which is the right uh, input data. So if that data is wrong, everything else which is being framed around the same will never work. I was so we have our AI models working on different aspects of the problem statement, and we'll talk about Delhi. Delhi is New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital of India, at least capital of India right now. You or we have no clue what's going to happen in terms of the future of India in terms of whatever is happening. Because if you look into the aspect, A lot of taxes is going to the central government, then state governments. There is kind of a dancing affair right now between the state government and the central government, and the end result is the citizens of India, or the NRIs, or whatever nomenclature we want to give them, uh, they are not able to do business. I mean, ease of business from the point of view of the corruption, it's very easy because the human intervention right now in the ease of business is all about corruption. If anybody wants a GST number, the person who's coming to your place first wants to understand the business model, particularly from the point of view of the service industry, which is appalling. And these are the people who are trying to, push their children into starting a business. So, first of all, are you ready to do a business? That's a question you need to answer. And let me tell you, initial years, I won't recommend anybody to do a business. I got into business because of other reasons, but I'm not a first time entrepreneur. So it's generation to generation stuff, which is part of me in the protocol. But for the first generation people, I'll rather say they have to learn anything and everything in terms of uh, a part of me is a lawyer, so I'll talk about it first. I mean, if in the internship, if you're given the duty just to take printouts or just to, do clerical work, you have to do it. You have to do it from the point of view that you have to take that. um, I wouldn't say it's a pain. It's just the way you have to learn things. Until unless you learn the pain of doing what you are doing, you will never be in a position to resolve any issue when you stay in the industry maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Things become very different, and particularly from the legal point of view or standpoint, and particularly international policies. um, Another point, and this is not a school of thought, this is what I have undergone in last 1 decade, when there were so many trainees or whom I trained, and they were all, falsified people. Except few, everybody had an agenda. Everybody came with an intent to take data and give it to the college people, which is against the ethos. And that is one reason I have stopped training the Indian fraternity, and that is how I'm going to do. What I'm doing right now is I'm training people globally except India, because when the intent of the trainee is not to learn but to, take the data set and be smarter in their own zone, that doesn't work in the real world. And that is one reason, most of the folks in the gig economy are not able to even do a simple task which can be done in 1 hour. And without even understanding the ethos of anything and everything, if you get into the, ethos of, oh, I'm going to do this because that person has done from this college, it doesn't work. um, Everybody journey is different, but to have the right people on board is should be your choice. It should not be choice of the people who are around you. I'll take my example. I have my mentors in terms of the best of the, um, I mean, the prime ministers and the presidents of the world. So that is how, like, I have developed my framework very early in my life. And when I was back from China, everybody tried to build their own blockchains, doing all ruckus stuff. I'll give you one example. I think I talked about it, and I'm again talking about it. Somebody recharges the number which is allocated to me, and that person calls me and says, I recharged your number by mistake, please recharge mine. So they think all these UPI transactions or the online transactions or the emails or any kind of transaction has anything to do with blockchain. The answer is big no. That kind of data set is totally, I would rather say, under the belt. When I say under the belt, I'll give you one more example or two or three examples from the people who worked with me in capacity where they were my clients, but they were not actual clients. They just wanted to build their blockchain or whatever business model they were trying to build. In one such aspect, um, different people have different models to work. I take upfront payment. That means if I'm executing anything, I need to take payment upfront, otherwise I cannot work. This is how I have built my career from very beginning. And in this particular case, this is an Indian party, an Indian entity, um, and they are given money by family offices. So I know the family office and everything. I did my due diligence very well, and I knew somewhere this is going to strike back. That I understood from the very beginning. Now, this particular party, what they did is suddenly their accounts team sends me extra money. Can you believe it? An Indian company, which is funded by a family office, sends me extra money, which is around, if I talk about stable coins, it would be around 1,500 stable coins, perhaps. And that too early in the morning. And that too when the markets are picking up, the share market. And when I saw that transaction, I was like, okay, what are they trying to do? So then I get a call from the accounts team and they start cooking a story. Indians are very good in cooking stories. Or I would rather say we all are good in cooking stories. It's just that some people think they are smarter than lawyers, which they are not. They say, we allocated somebody and from mistake, we sent 1,500 stable coins to your account. And I was like, okay. I said, I have no clue what you're talking about. Let my accounts team see and we will revert back. Then I saw the what is happening in the market. When I say market, it is the share market, the Indian share market, which is BSE and the NSEs of the world. And I could perhaps see the family office stuff because they were investing here and there. I could understand that this data set of mine or whatever data set of mine is being created in India is being utilized in the share market. And I was like, very good, very smart. Then I perhaps, so he said that, I've given extra money, so you have to return it back. I said, okay, eventually I'll do. And I did that. So this is one story. And perhaps that person actually is son of a minister. So you can understand, how the Indian MPs work. They think they're very smart people, which they are not. Now, the second story. Oh my gosh, this guy, I still fail to understand what made him do what he did, and in all capacities, because this is not one person, this is the whole banking sector. And this is basically ICICI Bank and the folks and the others and the bankers and the ministers of XYZ. Anyhow, uh, did the stuff, and right now, the person orchestrated it in a manner whereby, I mean, I don't know why people do this, because they think maybe they are, maybe they're in the market for maybe a couple of more years than us in terms of whatever they think so, because they can see through your bank accounts. And seeing through the bank accounts is not difficult, because if you have a unique surname or the family name, you just put the family name anywhere in the world. And if you have the admin access, you can see all the accounts. And it's not a, jumbo number game. And particularly for patents and stuff, it's very easy to see. So that happened actually recently in last 1 year. And I don't know how to articulate this, but this is what the country is doing in terms of blockchain. So there is no blockchain in India. I mean, on what basis that chain is being built, what is the core of blockchain, is the question these stakeholders need to answer. And because of that and all this menace, GDPR has to be in compliance, because users data is being misused at the back end. This is one example. Another example I want to give, I don't want to name the application. So these are the founders of the application, right? And these are the founders where you are able to pay credit card bills. I'm not naming the person, but that person comes from these elite institutions of India, so-called elite. And that also had been orchestrated with a lot of people keeping in mind. So one fine weekend, I get a call from a couple of people saying, oh, we want to file a patent, this and that, blah 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 blah. And then suddenly next day I get a DM on the WhatsApp number. I generally don't check the DMs. It is all the AI work. But sometimes I do check when, there's another pop-up which pops in. And then I realized this person is basically, he has taken the data set from the admin end. And there are many folks on LinkedIn, who create ruckus around these kind of affairs, because that is not my cup of tea or coffee. And the point of contention here is the government has no regulations over the data usage at the admin end. um, the admin is able to see anything and everything. How can that be controlled? I mean, at the ITU, we need to have these working groups to see that, misuse of data should not be allowed at any case whatsoever. And that is one reason the patent I filed a few years back, which is light year ahead algorithm. And if you go through the data set in any of the LLMs, you'll be able to see its data. And the point of contention is that's a defensive publication. The best thing is I will never get it examined. And most of the folks, I think, in AI will never get something examined because nobody's going to give you the best mode of performing the invention. Nobody's going to give you the prompt because if you give the prompt what the real prompt is all about, then anyone and everyone can just do the same. So the point of contention here is very simple. We are in a, I would say, kangaroo race, not a rat race, but it's a kangaroo race. How good you are in orchestrating the data set is going to make your career in whatever way or wherever you are. It's a total gig economy right now. You need to have the right people on board, and you have to give them, certain ESOPs percentage and stuff from your business, if your business has any value whatsoever. Because right now there are many folks in the angel investing thing where, um, they got money from somewhere and they don't know what to do. They have just become angel investors. So just be careful in terms of where you invest yourself in. Your investment, your own self investment, would be your biggest investment 2025 and beyond, because this life where we are today is very different from what the life of anyone and everyone was in 2020. I'm not even getting back what the life was in 2006 or 95 or 91, or how, internet came to us, or we were able to log into the internet and all those protocols. It's very, very clear to the authorities. If I represented India as a cert, there's a reason behind it, which the government people know very clearly. And it's more of a unsaid thing that we are here to facilitate internet as the medium. Internet doesn't belong to one country. Internet is a biggest canvas, and it has to be used properly. It cannot be used for corruption. It cannot be used for malice intent. And forget about blockchain. Blockchain has nothing to do with this. Blockchain is just a metaphor. It's like if you just break up the word blockchain, it's like block and chain. Another thing which I wanted just to wrap it up here is, there are loads of folks who think that, uh, one language is the language of communication. See, if you're using internet, the only language of communication is English, because that is universal. You cannot be saying that, internet belongs to XYZ languages. It's a biggest canvas. Any language has to be converted into English, then only, people are able to communicate. You can't expect the other person to speak other languages. This is ridiculous in all senses, because English per se is the most spoken language globally, and it is taught to each one of us. Point one. Point two, I mean, the other day I think I talked about it. When I think about my mother language, I'm trying to figure it out, because honestly, the clear definition of mother language is something else, or sorry, mother tongue is something else, but what I speak is something else. The point of contention here is, although part of me is Bengali, for me, when I see the words and everything, I am still trying to learn it. I still, whenever I get a little bit of, me time, I try, but I have better things to do, so I do that. But the point of contention here is, if you are staying in any of the states, and if the state is saying to learn the language, it's a good thing. There's nothing wrong about it, because if we don't learn when we have the opportunity to learn, it is very difficult to learn new languages at, at later stages. um, I still find it, like, for me, when I see the dialects, when I go to south of India or any part of the world in India itself, and when the language is Hindi, I can make it out. But other languages, it's like, uh, there's a kahawat is basically muhavara, idioms, right? Kahawat, oh, kala akshar bhais barabar. I mean, that is when I realized, education is so important. I mean, you kya cheez? No, now see, black buffalo is not equal to any number. This is nothing to do with coding. No, it's not a black alphabet. It's a bold. it's a kala akshar is like a bold. It stands for bold. Kala akshar is bold. नहीं अच्छा काला अक्षर भैंस बराबर so to end this whole conversation in a fun way is uh, so if anybody is staying in any of the states, please, if the government is emphasizing on learning the language, please learn it, because otherwise, we are going to forget what fish हो गया. Okay, I have to say goodbye for now. Have a great day ahead. मैंने कितना मन बना के